Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. When you think of Tanzania, what comes to mind? Maybe it's the breathtaking Great Migration across the Serengeti, the snow-capped peak of Mount Kilimanjaro, or the pristine white sand beaches of Zanzibar. But Tanzania is so much more than a spectacular travel destination. It's a land with a story that stretches back to the very dawn of humanity. Today, we're going to journey through time and uncover the incredible history of Tanzania, a story of ancient peoples, powerful empires, and a resilient nation. Our story begins millions of years ago, right here in what is now northern Tanzania. This region is famously known as the cradle of humankind. In places like Olduvai Gorge, paleontologists like the Leakey family made groundbreaking discoveries. They found the fossilized remains of some of our earliest human ancestors, hominins like Australopithecus afarensis, the species of the famous Lucy. They also unearthed early stone tools, evidence that our distant relatives were living, thinking, and creating here over 2 million years ago. So the next time you see footage of the Serengeti, remember you're looking at a landscape where the human story first began to unfold. Fast forward thousands of years. The original inhabitants of this land were likely Khoisan-speaking hunter-gatherers, similar to the ancestors of the Hadzib and Sanda people who still live in Tanzania today. Around 2,000 years ago, a massive shift occurred with the arrival of Bantu-speaking farmers migrating from West and Central Africa. They brought with them ironworking skills and new agricultural techniques, which allowed for larger, more settled communities. This Bantu migration fundamentally shaped the demographic and cultural landscape of the entire region, laying the groundwork for the diverse ethnic groups that make up Tanzania today. Now, let's turn our attention to the coast. From around the 8th century onwards, the Indian Ocean trade routes transformed the Tanzanian coastline into a vibrant, cosmopolitan hub. Arab, Persian, and Indian merchants sailed their dhows on the monsoon winds, trading cloth, spices, and beads for East African goods like ivory, gold, timber, and tragically enslaved people. This interaction gave rise to a unique and powerful culture, the Swahili civilization. This wasn't a single empire, but a collection of prosperous city-states dotted along the coast, from Mogadishu in the north down to Kilwa in the south. Kilwa Kizewani, located in modern-day southern Tanzania, became one of the most powerful and wealthy of these cities. Imagine walking through its streets in the 14th century. You'd see magnificent stone mosques, grand palaces like the Husuni Kubwa, and markets bustling with merchants from across the known world. The famous traveler Ibn Battuta visited Kilwa and described it as one of the most beautiful cities he had ever seen. The fusion of African Bantu, Arab, and Persian influences created the Swahili language and a rich culture that continues to define coastal Tanzania. But this golden age was disrupted at the very end of the 15th century with the arrival of the Portuguese. Seeking to control the lucrative Indian Ocean trade, they used their superior naval firepower to conquer the Swahili city-states. For 2 centuries, the Portuguese dominated the coast, building forts and disrupting the old trade networks. Their rule was often brutal, and it marked a difficult period for the Swahili people, who resisted but were ultimately unable to oust the European invaders on their own. Help eventually came from an unlikely source, the Sultanate of Oman. In the late 17th century, Omani Arabs drove the Portuguese out of the region and established their own influence. By the 19th century, the Omani Sultan, Syed Said, moved his capital from Muscat all the way to Zanzibar, turning the island into the center of a new East African empire. Zanzibar became a major hub for the trade of cloves, which were grown on vast plantations, but also for the horrific and expanded trade in enslaved people and ivory from the mainland. Caravans, led by Swahili and Arab traders, penetrated deep into the interior, forever changing the political and social landscape of the mainland tribes they encountered. This era came to an end with the scramble for Africa in the late 19th century. The European powers were hungry for colonies, and East Africa was carved up. The mainland part of what is now Tanzania was claimed by Germany and became German East Africa. German rule was characterized by the forceful establishment of plantations for crops like cotton and coffee, and the construction of railways to transport these goods to the coast. This colonial project was met with fierce resistance. The most famous uprising was the Maji Rebellion from 1905 to 1907. Dozens of ethnic groups united to fight against the Germans, inspired by a spiritual leader who claimed a special water, or Maji in Swahili, would protect them from German bullets. The rebellion was brutally crushed, resulting in a devastating loss of life, but it remains a powerful symbol of early Tanzanian nationalism. After Germany's defeat in World War I, control of the territory was handed over to the British, and it was renamed Tanganyika. British rule was different, but it was still colonial domination. They governed through a system of indirect rule, using existing local chiefs to enforce their policies. During this time, a sense of national identity began to grow stronger. A teacher named Julius Nyerere emerged as a key figure. In 1954, he helped form the Tanganyika African National Union, or TANU. Nyerere was a brilliant and charismatic leader who advocated for independence through peaceful means. His message of unity, or umoja in Swahili, resonated across the country's diverse ethnic groups. He famously said, "We the people of Tanganyika would like to light a candle and put it on top of Mount Kilimanjaro, which would shine beyond our borders." Giving hope where there was despair, love where there was hate, and dignity where before there was only humiliation, his efforts were successful. On December 9, 1961, Tanganyika peacefully achieved its independence, with Julius Nyerere as its first prime minister and later president. A couple of years later, in 1964, the neighboring islands of Zanzibar had their own violent revolution, overthrowing the Sultan. Shortly after, on April 26, 1964, Tanganyika and Zanzibar united to form a new nation, the United Republic of Tanzania. This union, symbolized by the merging of their two flags, is a rare example of two independent African states choosing to become one. As president, Nyerere embarked on a unique path of African socialism known as Ujamaa, which means familiarhood in Swahili. The policy aimed to create a self-reliant nation based on collective farming and communal living. While the vision was noble and led to major advances in literacy and healthcare, the economic results were mixed, and the program faced many challenges. Nyerere voluntarily stepped down in 1985, a rare move for an African leader of his time, and Tanzania began a transition towards a multi-party democracy and a more market-oriented economy. Today, Tanzania is a nation that continues to build on its complex legacy. It's a country of incredible diversity, with over 120 different ethnic groups living together in relative peace. It's a land defined by the ancient footsteps of our ancestors, the legacy of the Swahili coast, the struggle against colonialism, and the unifying vision of leaders like Julius Nyerere. From the Stone Age tools of Olduvai Gorge to the bustling modern city of Dar es Salaam, the story of Tanzania is a powerful testament to the resilience and spirit of its people. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Tanzania's history. I hope it gives you a new appreciation for this amazing country. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you in the next one.